All right, welcome to our first assignment. My name is Professor Kina from DePaul University, and this assignment is for my intermediate advanced painting students in winter quarter 2021, and we're going to be using acrylic paint. But you can follow along at home if you're following these teaching videos. All right, here's the assignment prompt. It's called The Outside World. That's this project. Using one or more canvas panels, create a painting about the outside world. You can interpret this literally as in an outdoor landscape, which is what I'm going to do in the demo that I'll give you, or symbolically to represent what is happening in the larger society or how you connect with the outside world. So when it's not in the midst of COVID-19, one of the things I like to do is travel a lot. And one of the places I love to visit is Okinawa, Japan. So I have one series of works called Holding On, which you can visit on my website at laurakina.com. That is about Okinawa, contemporary Okinawan landscape, history and memory. So when I'm doing research for projects, and you're going to need to do research for this project, whether you're doing a literal landscape or you're treating this as a conceptual project or something symbolic, I want you to do research. So part of what I do is travel, take photographs. So this is an example here of an Osprey airplane at Futenma Air Force Base in Okinawa. So I'll do sketches, and then I take photographs, and then I like to make little watercolor pen and ink sketches. Sometimes I do these on site in a place, or other times I take the photographs back home or back to my hotel room and draw. So I'll show you a couple of other examples. I remember sitting and drawing this one. So I have a little travel sketchbook that I take with me. I can throw that in my purse or my backpack, and then I don't have to have very many supplies with me, and I can do, for doing quick sketches outside, I like to use pen and ink, a pen and a colored pencil and pen. This one, here's a not very good travel photograph in Valley of Gangala in Okinawa of this giant 450-year-old banyan tree. And then later that day, I came back and looked at my, phone picture and did this little sketch. And later on, I turned this into a finished painting. So behind me is another example of this. So I'll go through some steps here. So before I even begin traveling, I like to do research. So for my own work, that might involve learning about mythology or folk tales, learning about other artists who are working with similar source material and ideas and concepts that I want to work with, learning about spirituality of a region, war history and occupation, and again, I'm learning about historic artists and contemporary artists. So that's important part for my practice. I also do oral history and interviews. You don't have to do all that for this assignment, but I just want to go over some of the things that go behind how do you make a painting? What is a painting before we even start? So here's one example behind me. This was on a tour that I went on in Okinawa and Valley of Gangala. So you can see here is this limestone cave, and there's this tourist cafe there. Not the best photograph, but from my memory of the place and also thinking about what gama here, or caves, represent in Okinawan history with World War II history, I created this little watercolor study, and I like some of the elements of things that were happening in there. And then you can see behind me is a larger finished piece that I created a number of years later here. I did this in 2019 at a residency at the Joan Mitchell Foundation. So, for my own practice, there's a lot of things about history that are going to be important in this piece, but many times your viewer is not going to be able to access all of that. Yes, they can read your artist statement, read more things about the work, but we need to be able to communicate things in a language that goes beyond, our actual language, visual language here. So I have moments where there's hope or possibility, moments where there's memory of death or memorial. We're looking at this inside of the cave, looking out. I need to be able to communicate these things through color and form. And my final paintings are going to be very different than my source photos and maybe even my initial sketches. But those are all part of my process. And part of the studio process for me also is figuring out for each series that I'm working on, what color palette do I want to use, what techniques. In this one I started with large washes, and then doing black ink washes, then colored washes, then more detailed opaque work and scumbling, and then finally sort of almost graffiti-like line work. So I developed a system of visual language in this particular series. All right, so right now, we're again, as I mentioned, it's COVID-19. I can't go anywhere. I'm in my basement, a studio apartment, and I'm gonna make a painting. I'm gonna make these paintings along with my class. So what I did was I went outside my back porch. So I have this little source photo right here. And like many of you, if I wanna see people, I have to socially distance visit with them. So those are some of the patio furniture on my back porch, which we've left out there for social distance visiting. But now it has snowed and it's a little cold sitting up there. But I have left my string lights that I put up there this summer when we were eating outside on our patio all summer long. And it makes me feel like I'm at a restaurant. I took this photo at dawn, so I'm also thinking about how, you know, dawn comes after darkness, and it's a sort of turning point or a moment. So these elements here, I hope maybe might show up in this painting. I don't know. But one of the nice things about painting is you can't know everything ahead of time. There's not one right way to do it. And I'm gonna bring who I am today to this piece, even though I'm gonna bring the knowledge that I had from before. The moment when I took that photo 2 weeks ago when it was snowing. But today, right now, is Sunday morning. It is January 10th, 2021. I'm feeling a little bit broken, a little sad today. I lost one of my colleagues 2 days ago, so I'm thinking about that. And well, it's okay, it's all right. You know, 4 days ago, I had my 13th round of chemotherapy, and I'm online teaching my students right now, and it's hard. And I think for a lot of us who are living in the United States right now, we're processing what happened 5 days ago, not even 5 days ago, right? 4 days ago when our US Capitol was stormed by white supremacists. So yeah, so I'm feeling a little melancholy. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to sketch this out today and start the painting. We'll see what happens. So yeah. All right, so I'm beginning to sketch out my piece on my canvas board. So I have a source image here, just a regular printout from my desktop printer. And one of the things that you can do is you can grid it out. So one easy way is just fold up your paper into a grid, right? And that creates grid outlines. This happens to be the same ratio as my canvas board. That's important when you're creating a grid with the same ratios there. So I have some underlying grid things in my drawings. I just put the basic elements there. I'm not after extreme precision in the particular painting that I'm going to do because I'm going to change it from the source photo, but I wanted to block out where the main elements are. And then I noticed here that there was a vanishing point that I needed to use to block in some perspective items. So those were certain elements there. I'll probably refine how I have the lawn furniture there. But this is the next step, just simple pencil drawing on canvas board. And next I'm going to start with laying in some line work with paint. All right, so I've blocked out some basic things with some black acrylic paint here. As I mentioned before, it's not that important for me to be neat and precise at this point. I'm just putting in the basic elements. I'm gonna mess it up before I refine things, or I may not refine it at all. We'll see. So this was the next step. All right, so after I put the initial drawing, the black kind of line work, I started blocking in with some white paints, opaques, and some scumbles. And I did one glaze of phthalo blue in the background there, and I started doing some color blocking. So again, I'm keeping it really loose right now. One of the things, the main point here is I'm gonna concentrate on light and dark. I have my major forms, and in my mind, how I remember this scene, there was a lot of blustery snow happening, which I didn't capture in the picture, but I'll try to capture in the painting. So I've fuzzed things out here. I'm working with the brushes, same brushes and paints that my students are using right now. I've never used most of these brushes or these paints before, so it's new to me. And this is a lot smaller scale for acrylic painting than I'm used to working on. So I'm keeping it loose. So remember when I was going over supplies, our paint set didn't come with the burnt sienna, but I've mixed together our primary red with some of the yellow oxide. And this has given me kind of a nice color that's similar there, so I'm putting that into the fence, not the fence, but the patio railing. And I'm really not going to worry about precision right now. I'm just kind of blocking in. I don't know about you, but it's impossible to talk and paint at the same time. It's two separate parts of your brain. And I'm not worried about going out of the lines at this phase. So as you can see here, I'm going to push back darks and I'm going to put back in highlights, so I'm going to have a push and pull. I've laid in some areas here where it's generally pink. I'm going to do washes of more blacks, so really, you know, push that back into the background. I think I'm going to stop right now. I kept it pretty loose, and again, I diverged from what the picture was, trying to go by my memory of how it felt that morning, just at dawn, as a winter storm was coming in. You can see in the background here I did a glaze, and that's a transparent glaze, and then I have a lot of opaque scumbles. Yeah, I think it's done.